All right, now hello everyone. Welcome to the third or fourth EIR summer webinar series. This one is on practical EIR skills. My name is Vanessa Raponi and Erica Lee is my boss and she is presenting from afar on this one. So the agenda for today is that we're going to go over some brief introductions as per usual. Then we're going to go over some scenarios, some involving teachers, some involving students, and we'll end with a call to action, and we'll discuss, what else you are concerned about. At any time, please feel free to type in the chat box, and I will do my best to read out your responses as we go. So, beginning with the behind the scenes of the EIR program, these are the faces of who is helping you out and helping the program run across Ontario. So Erica Lee Garcia is our PN. She's the boss, and she's been running the Engineers of Tomorrow venture for several years now. Starting in just a week's time is Becky White. Shivangana unfortunately just left us last week, but we're too sad to delete her picture yet, so she's with us in spirit. There's myself, Vanessa, and Jonathan La Rochelle, who is actually sitting beside me right now working away on some other EIR things. So all of us work for a venture of Engineers Without Borders Canada called Engineers of Tomorrow, and so this is the organization that runs the organization, in case you were wondering. So starting off with some fast facts about the EIR program. So what is an engineer in residence? Hopefully all of you know by now, but if not, I'll quickly go over it. So the Engineer in Residence program is the flagship educational outreach program of the PEO, which is the Professional Engineers of Ontario. It's an innovative volunteer-based program dedicated to inspire young people in areas of science, technology, engineering, and math, or STEM. The EIR program is offered free of charge to elementary and secondary schools all across Ontario. And the aim is to bring PNGs and EITs into the classroom to do hands-on activities with students and role modeling engineering. And our website is EIR.ca. So the main objectives of the program is to promote the word engineering with young people and to educate the general public. We want to create positive collaborations and true teamwork between educators and engineers. We really hope to remove barriers to participate, provide timely support and information, and create a seamless customer experience for educators and EIRs. We're hoping to leverage the support of the PEO chapters, companies, and other organizations in order to improve and grow the EIR program in Ontario and across Canada. So these are all the basics. We're almost done. We always like to say at the end, what would it mean to have an EIR in every classroom, and how would that change everything? So, by the age of about 12, most students can identify what a lawyer is and what a doctor is, but they have no idea what an engineer is. So having that engineering and engineer words recognized by every Ontario student could really change a lot of things. So we're really aiming to be strong, positive role models for engineering. Having STEM careers being recognized as rewarding and cool instead of some of the stereotypes that are more nerdy and negative. We would have higher technological literacy in all Ontario students instead of just a few. It would result in better gender parity in incoming engineering classes, which would then lead to better better gender parity in the real world. We would have K-12 teachers supported and confident in STEM, and there would be less of a reliance and a need. We would have grassroots relationship building in the educational system, so it would start in a more unique way. And of course, there would be leadership building opportunities for PNGs, which is always great. So kicking into the practical stuff, the way that this is going to be laid out is we're going to, as I mentioned, talk about the teacher relationship, then talk about the student relationship, and we're going to go over some scenarios with each. So I'm going to ask that you, or encourage you to participate, but if not, no harm. So getting into the EIR teacher relationship, what does it look like for the two of you to interact with each other and be together? So it requires a lot of frequent communication, not just at the beginning of the year, but throughout the entirety of the program. There will be a lot of scheduling of times and dates. You need to make sure that both your schedules overlap so that you can actually physically go into the classroom and make sure that it's convenient for both parties, or as convenient as possible. You need to decide the order of the programming throughout the year. So we stress that the EIR program aligns with the curriculum because we feel that that is an effective way of demonstrating how engineering is all around you, how engineering applies to all sorts of different things. And the goal is to really hone in on the fact that, you know...
Let's see if Remy is ready.
Sorry?
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so when I say editing the details of the programming, that's you might find a really cool lab you want to do online, but it might be just a little not 100% perfect, so you might need to alter it, so you and the teacher would do that together. It's worth noting that the teacher is legally obligated to always be supervising the classroom, so you will never be alone. The two of you will always be there as a team. And also that it's an equal relationship. When it comes to discussions of how their mandated curriculum runs and what is necessary, sometimes there can get a little bit of maybe in your day it was done a certain way and you were disappointed by that and you're seeing it still being done that way and you want to maybe express that. Those are things that are maybe outside of the teacher's control, so we want to really make sure that that relationship is equal. So now let's get into some scenarios with the teachers. So these are some things that have either happened or that we want to prepare you to know what to do if they happen. So our problem scenario number one is a communication issue. So you can't contact the teacher throughout the year. You don't know what's going on. You're frustrated that you aren't making the impact you expected. You can't even get into the classroom. How do we with it? So let's talk about what we would do in this situation. So feel free to message into the chat box or chat, unmute your mic and say something. You know, what would you do if you were in this situation? You were really frustrated. No, they're not even responding to you. You feel like the EIR program's not even working at all. What do you do? John, what would you do? John doesn't know what he would do. He'd get mad. Yes, that would be very frustrating. But I'm hoping that's a little bit sarcastic. You wouldn't get too mad at the teacher themselves. First, I've worked with 3 teachers and haven't had that happen, so that's good. So that's great, Christopher. Daniel says, contact the principal and express your concerns. I really like that one. No, but for reals, probably look for additional channels of communication. Oops, sorry. There are often more people involved. Very true. In order to avoid this problem, I would have the email address from the very beginning. That is accurate. We provide all email addresses as of day 1. So these are some great responses. Thank you, everyone. So our suggested solution for this scenario is...
You don't got no more.
I'm sorry?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I keep murmuring, so just disregard me.
Okay. Our suggested solution is so some of these a lot of you actually said, so try different mediums such as email, phone, in person if possible. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but you are welcome to physically go into the school and be like, hey, I really need to know what's going on. Try contacting the principal. Someone did mention that. This isn't meant to explicitly be like a tattletale kind of thing. It's just maybe this teacher isn't actually in need of the program, and maybe there's another teacher that could help. Or maybe they, went on sick leave or mat leave and you didn't know, or something along those lines. Something that, someone else said, patience-free communications. They get busy sometimes in the year, report cards, open houses, class trips. That is very true and worth noting. Patience is a virtue, and, this is more if it's getting out of hand and it's taking too much time and it's really impacting your ability to be an effective EIR, where it's getting to be too much. Something none of you mentioned, contact your EIR support team. We are here to help. So that's myself, that's Becky, that's Erica. You should have all of our emails, or you could always email info@eir.ca to ask us to step in, whether that's, the unfortunate circumstance where you're getting to the point where you can't, that this school isn't working out at all, that we can rematch you with a different school, or just having us come in might be of assistance as well. And a big thing we really want to stress is don't let a bad experience turn you away from the entire program. Unfortunately, we've had a few EIRs have a bad experience, and then they just don't want to join ever again, which is really unfortunate. So we really hope that doesn't happen to you. Someone has mentioned...
What's an example of a bad situation?
An example of a bad situation? So we had an EIR last year who had a really hard time getting their police check completed. They had like fingerprints and all the stuff they had to do, and it took them months to get cleared. So because it took them so long, they didn't meet their teacher for a really long time, and then their communication was pretty much nil. They had a really difficult time, and now it took like quite a little bit of convincing for them to even consider rejoining the program, because they were like, this program sucks, I wasn't able to contact my teacher, it took so long, yada yada. But a lot of these things were actually either outside of our control or could have been fixed sooner had they contacted us. So that's an example. We have a couple more messages. People said usually you visit the school first, and there is a meeting with the principal before being introduced to the teacher. So there should not be communication problems with the teacher. It's all about building rapport with the teachers. That's a very good point. So hopefully you now feel prepared to deal with this situation, and we're going to move on to the next one, just being conscious of the time here. So our second problem scenario is content needed. Your teacher expects you to have all of the content prepared and ready to go on your own. They were told that they didn't have to help you at all, and that you would find the lesson plans and activities on your own. Where do you look? So this is a good one. Some EIRs feel really overwhelmed in this situation, and they don't know what to do. So let's hear your thoughts on what to do in this situation. I'm giving away the answers. Whether it's where's maybe one of the first few places you would look if you were asked to prepare all the activities on your own. I mean, first of all, you're probably going to say this is a little unbalanced, but the book, says Christopher. That sounds a little ominous. Whose name I forget. Nice. The book whose name I forget. I'm assuming this is some sort of science room. The 100 classroom exercises. Nice. That sounds like a very helpful book. We have teachers follow the Ontario curricula as the EIR program does. We plan together and we add resources like manipulatives or educational materials. That sounds great. But more specific though, where would you look? IEEE has a program called Try Engineering. I've been looking at their lesson plans for ideas. That's awesome, Kevin. Thank you. Daniel says internet resources, friends and family that are teachers. I like that. Going right to the source. Tina says a visit to the Ontario Science Centre. Yes, that would definitely help the brain whiz, that's for sure. This is great hearing what you all think. Well, thank you for all that. So we can get into our suggested EIR.ca. There you go. That's the one that was missing. So our suggested solution is start with our website, EIR.ca. Great job, Christopher. So our resources tab is, I don't know if any of you have had the opportunity to look at it yet, but it has both activities and presentations for all sorts of different grades that you can take directly off of our website. So it should have like documents, what activities you need, the activity itself, what to buy, etc. So that these have all been used by EIRs for years, so hopefully that's something you can look at. Google is your friend. The web has 1,000,001 options, so someone mentioned just looking at different resources online. Or messaging any friends you might have. And again, contacting your EIR support team. So stressing that we are here to help, myself, Becky, and Erica. If you're really struggling, you need something on electricity and you're for grade 6s and you're not sure if your content is advanced enough, feel free to message what you have to us and we can look it over and give you some suggestions. Or we can maybe even provide you with some alternative links. Christopher is asking, do you have a link to the current curriculum on EIR? It was also something very useful to have. The teachers also gave me a textbook. So in the current curriculum on EIR, if you go to eir.ca and you click on the resources tab, that is the current breadth of knowledge that we have. I have a hard copy of the EIR program guide, Classroom Activities 2011 to 2012. That's awesome. I'm actually not familiar with what that is, so if you could maybe send me a picture of that, that'd be pretty cool. Because Engineers of Tomorrow has only taken over the EIR program for a couple years now. I will send to you. Thank you very much. So there's some things that happened way back when, for example, 2011, that we might not have our hands on. Soft cover is so awesome. Please distribute more. We'll look into that. Great.
1, 2.
Sorry?
Yeah. Nope, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so hopefully that gives you all some ideas about what to do if you need content. And we'll move on to the next scenario. So our problem scenario number 3 is a disagreement alert. You're running a session on electricity and you want to run a PowerPoint before getting into the activity. Your teacher insists that the children won't pay attention and suggests only doing the activity with a brief 2-minute intro. You don't think that this is effective. What do you do? To the person on the phone, I'm just going to mute you because some people are having some difficulty hearing.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, who is this, by the way?
Basil.
Who?
Last name Sam. Sam's here.
Sam. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have some people who've been responding. So Tina says, defer to the teacher as they have experience with kids. Very interesting. Christopher says, shorten the presentation, use videos rather than slides with text. That's a great idea. Visual, very, very captivating stuff. I like that idea. Daniel says, compromise with the teacher. The teacher knows the kids better. Liking it. Kevin says, create a PowerPoint presentation on the advantages of PowerPoint presentations, citing published papers on the learning improvements of using presentations, or come to I'm sorry, I was not expecting this, or come to a compromise and reduce the presentation length greatly. All right, Kevin, you got me giggling here. That's a very entertaining idea. I would love to see a PowerPoint presentation on PowerPoint presentations. That would be great. Okay, so actually, you can't argue with objective data. No one can argue with objective data. I like that. Okay, so maybe not the most recommended idea. So you actually pretty much all hit exactly what we were going to suggest. So firstly and foremost, having faith in the teacher. They know their students best. Almost all of you said that, which is good to know that you're already thinking in that mindset. This is a person that spends every single day with these students. They're going to know what's going to work. Something that's worth noting is remembering your time limits. You might only have 15 minutes with the students, so you want to make the best impact of their time. So if a teacher is saying that a video is going to be really effective, a teacher is saying an activity is going to be really effective, you really want to take advantage of that as much as possible. And someone else mentioned this, trying to come up with a compromise. So compromise is key. Maybe you can do a 5-minute PowerPoint after convincing them with a PowerPoint on PowerPoints, as Kevin suggested. Yeah, so you can come up with some sort of compromise that works with the two of you. But great participation, everyone. I really, really appreciate it. So now I think we've covered some three big problems with that could come up with the EIR teacher relationship. So now we want to get into the EIR student relationship. But first, Christopher is asking, can we still send copies of presentations to the EIR for sharing? Yes, you definitely can. That is not a problem whatsoever. Okay, so the EIR student relationship, what does that look like? So first and foremost, you are acting as a teacher and a mentor to them. And worth noting is that you are their possible first impression of what an engineer actually is. You are naturally going to be in a role model kind of position, and you are a friendly adult that they can trust. So that's a lot of power, which is why a lot of you, or actually why all of you had to complete that vulnerable sector police screening, is that we need to make sure that there are no criminal issues, but that's also why we had those interviews, was to make sure that we trust that you can handle this kind of responsibility, and hopefully you will be able to have a great time being an EIR. So here comes some problem scenarios. So the fussy student. This is possibly more likely in a younger class versus, say, a high school class, but we'll go through it anyways. So a fussy student, you're in the middle of explaining the water cycle when Jack starts screaming and speaking over you. He stands up and starts making faces, distracting everyone in the room. What do you do? Silly Jack trying to distract everyone. So let's hear what everyone thinks. This would be really frustrating because it's always disappointing when people aren't listening, and with kids it can be a little more complicated. So how would you handle this situation? Give you a minute to think about it. All right, we have someone saying usually teachers will take action right away. I like that. That is hopeful. Daniel says, ask him what he can contribute and ask the teacher what to do. Very good, very important points. I like the idea of engaging him as he is being disruptive. That's a good idea. Anyone else have any thoughts? Maybe this is one of those things you were a little worried about what to do because you don't actually know what to do in this situation. Maybe that's why it's a bit quieter for this one. All right, well, thank you for those who participated. So what we have as a suggestion, as was mentioned, looking to the teacher for how to discipline. They likely have a standard way of dealing with these things. And as was mentioned, hopefully they will just immediately take action on this, and this would be less your responsibility to deal with. And what's also worth noting is continuing after the fact as if nothing happened. You want to get the focus in the room back on you and your content. You don't want it to be too delayed for too long. And I really like what Daniel mentioned about asking what he could contribute and engaging this student that is being disruptive. That is definitely a really good idea, and I think worth taking away for the other EIRs here. All right, so those are some examples of what to do with a fussy student. We have another student problem scenario. This one is a juicy one, calling this one boys versus girls. So when they begin building their bridges during a forces and physics session, you overhear Kim exclaiming, "This sucks. This is all boy stuff." And in response, Billy says, "That's because girls aren't smart enough to be engineers." Ooh, what do you do in this situation? Ho ho, Billy, says Kevin. Right? The mouth on Billy. So sad. Just emailed you the EIR program cover and also a sample PowerPoint of my first presentation. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you. You jerk. Oh, Kevin, you're killing me. So we probably won't be calling Billy a jerk. because that's probably not a good idea. So what might we actually say to Billy? Stop the activity for a second and ask Billy why he thinks that way. He probably won't have a proper answer. That's a very good idea, asking him to justify it. Aside from thinking girls are dumb, Daniel says, cite examples of prominent lady engineers, astronauts, etc. I like that, showing by example that that's very much not true, and that isn't a thing. I like that. So there are two major issues here. What are these two issues, Kevin? Let's hear it. His sexism is one, and the other is the fact that he's being rude. That's true. I like that. He needs to recognize that both are unacceptable. I like that. Tina's noting that Kim also isn't interested, which is another problem here. This is great dissection, everyone. I like this. So we have an uninterested girl, and we have a boy that's being rude and sexist. So these two are combining to really perpetuate the idea that girls don't belong in engineering, even though, as Daniel pointed out, there are all these really famous and incredible women that are doing such incredible work in the engineering community. So we really need to figure out a way to deal with this. So I would explain both what engineering does with an example of industrial engineering applied in Disney World. Ooh, I like that. Showing that something that's super relatable to the kids and would definitely get them really excited. This is great problem identification, everyone. Excellent job. So we can get into a little bit of what we suggest to do when this happens. So first you want to address Kim and Billy specifically. Ideally you will have already had an opportunity to kind of explain the fact that anyone can be an engineer and that a diversity of skills are important. So maybe that needs to be specifically reiterated to the two of them. Hosanna has mentioned that explaining that either girls or boys have the potential to become engineers, as everyone is smart and has the ability to become whatever they would like in life if they work on it. I love that. Very inspirational. We also think that it's important that at the end of the entire class and session to reiterate to the entire classroom the messaging that engineering is for everyone. But you also don't want to, specifically like Kim and Billy were chatting about this earlier. You don't want to call them out, but you want to, maybe this is something that is perpetuating in the whole class or the whole community. So you want to really hone in on that again if you see this come up. And regardless, it might be worth bringing this up anyways. So great. Thank you so much to everyone who answered. Actually, I'm going to come back. So what have I missed? What are you worried about when you're thinking about yourself going into the classroom? We just covered 5 different situations. What is something that you are concerned might happen that you don't know how to address that maybe we didn't mention? Or if you feel like those were your top 5 concerns that we hit the nail on the head already. The goal of this webinar is to be more practical. Ooh, I like this. Your lesson plan was poorly spread out time-wise and the activity finishes too early. What do you do? Ooh, that's a good one. All right, so if you have to think on the spot and you have to try to extend, what do you do? So off the top of my head, I can think of a couple things you would do. So that might be a great opportunity to talk more about yourself, share your story, why you became an engineer, what engineering means to you, a little bit about your job, some cool examples you can think of that might be really engaging to the kids, such as, being an industrial engineer in Disney World. Yeah, so thanks for bringing up that, Kevin. I'll think more on that. Tina says, some teachers may not appreciate your support, negative feedback from other teachers or parents. That would be something you're not looking forward to. Okay, so if you have a teacher that doesn't appreciate your support. So first and foremost, every teacher opted into this program. They specifically applied. They want you in the first place. So hopefully that's not happening. But if it does happen and you're getting negative feedback from either teachers or parents, whenever you get feedback in life, step one is ideally to listen, to see, try to dissect what parts of it you can actually work on. Maybe they're having feedback with the way you're communicating, like in our first example of, presentation versus activity, that kind of idea. So maybe that's something you can work for. Other teachers in the school are having issues, not the one that enrolled. Okay. So, whether it's other teachers being jealous, other teachers thinking it's not worth it, I would say in that case, you kind of have to, push through it, because if you and your teacher know that it's effective and they know that this is what's right and what's working, that the engineering profession needs a bigger diversity of people, and this is a really great way of doing it. So hopefully, haters gonna hate, as they say.
I was talking to you.
We have someone who said, this is not my case, but for those who are not first aid and CPR trained, they should be aware of what to do in case of an emergency. That is fair. I'm actually not sure what the regulations are of teachers requiring CPR and first aid, but hopefully all of you know, call 911 in an emergency, and making sure that dialing 911 in an emergency, or those kinds of basics. I would not recommend, performing CPR or anything like that if you are not trained to do so. And I'm actually not 100% sure I'm not actually sure how the legality works with those kinds of things. I know it's a little sticky in lifeguarding, for instance, so I'm not sure how that applies to you. So that's actually something I'm going to look into, because that is important to know. Hopefully your teacher and you can go over that at the beginning. We've also said teachers want us because we will bring in more resources and hands-on experience that sometimes they do not have. That is very true, particularly in more underprivileged areas or underprivileged schools. So Hosanna says, is the teacher required to be present at all times? Apologies if this was responded to earlier. I had issues with my audio and missed the beginning of the presentation. Yes, this was mentioned earlier. They are legally obligated to not only be with the kids at all times, but specifically because you are a volunteer entering in, they have to be there. So if you're coming across a situation where you're arriving and the teacher's being like, "Hey, bye, I'm going to go do some shopping for an hour," or something ridiculous, please contact us immediately. And also that is worth reporting to the principal as well. That there's this behavior is happening, because that's very inappropriate and not okay. Okay, well, thank you all so much for your participation. I really appreciate this. Sometimes you get some crickets when you ask questions, and so this is great. So if you have any more worries, please feel free to email us, and we'd love to hammer those out. So. And I'm sure other EIRs share the same issues and concerns as you do. So we wanted to end with a bit of a call to action. So what can you do right now to kind of take all this information and do something with it? So firstly, we have a LinkedIn group called the Engineering Residence Program. Try to use this resource often. We want this to be a community where you can post things. For example, in need of a good materials engineering activity, send help, that kind of idea, or answering those questions, sharing happy stories. Like Sandy came up to me after class today and said that she would never consider being being an engineer until my presentation, and that made me feel really great. We'd love to hear those kinds of stories and have those shared within the EIR community. Do you know a great website, have some great resources on activities? Please send that our way. We are always updating our website with new content and would love to post more stuff and share more things. And again, sharing your stories. If you don't want to post them on LinkedIn or share them on another social media site, please just message us personally and let us know what's happening. It's sometimes hard to. We run this program all across Ontario, and we're a very small team, so it's kind of hard to keep track of everything. So we love to hear, both good and bad, what's happening. what you need help with. This is literally our job. That's what we're here for. So please do not hesitate to contact us whenever you need us. So that's pretty much all I have for you all today. Thank you so much for joining this webinar. If you're a social media kind of person, we have the hashtag Team EIR for this these few webinars we've been doing. So please feel free to connect with us on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn. We love social media, and we love if you also do the same. A few people are thanking me, which I appreciate. So hopefully we didn't dip too much into your lunch, or you were able to eat as you listened. I know there's no thumbs up, no emojis in GoToMeeting. Very old school. So all right. So thanks so much, everyone, and hopefully this has been really helpful. And we will be sending out the slides and a recording after in a few days. So hopefully you will, be able to use this. All right. Thanks so much, and have a great day.